They thought she was weak, an old teacher, frail and powerless. The bullies shoved her, mocked her, filmed it for laughs. But what they didn't know was that their cruel prank was about to unleash a chain of events that would destroy their futures and turn the entire town against them. What happens next? Let's start the story. At Willow Creek High, the last bell echoed down the hallways as students flooded out, ready to escape another mundane school day. But not everyone left. In room 104, Mrs. Margaret Ellison, a 72-year-old English teacher with silver hair tied in a neat bun, carefully stacked papers into her worn leather satchel. For over 40 years, Mrs. Ellison had taught generations of students, known for her gentle demeanor, her passion for poetry, and her unwavering belief that kindness mattered more than anything. But not everyone respected her. A group of seniors, Jake, Tyler, and Mason, had built a reputation for cruelty. Entitled, arrogant, and spoiled, they found amusement in tormenting others, especially those they perceived as weak. And Mrs. Ellison, with her slow steps and frail frame, became their latest target. They waited until the hallway was nearly empty. Tyler nudged Jake, phone camera already recording. "Watch this," Jake smirked. As Mrs. Ellison stepped out of her classroom, Jake accidentally bumped into her, knocking her books to the ground. "Oops," he sneered. "Guess you're too old for this job." Mason laughed, kicking one of the books down the hallway. "Bet she can't even bend down to pick it up." Mrs. Ellison steadied herself, shocked but calm. "That's quite enough," she said softly, trying to gather her things. But they weren't done. Tyler shoved her shoulder, hard enough to make her stumble back against the lockers. The thud echoed painfully. Students further down the hall turned but didn't intervene, some out of fear, some out of apathy. Jake grinned cruelly. "Say something, old lady. Come on." Mason filmed the entire thing, laughing. "This is gold, bro." But in their arrogance, they made a mistake, a fatal one. What the boys didn't notice was the quiet figure approaching from the end of the hallway. Mr. Adam Reyes, the school superintendent, had come by unannounced that afternoon to check on building repairs. He'd witnessed everything, from the shove to the cruel laughter, and he wasn't alone. Walking beside him was Sheriff Lila Brooks, visiting to discuss a school safety program. Both had seen the entire assault unfold in real time. "Hey!" The sheriff's voice boomed like a cannon. The laughter died instantly. The boys spun around, faces draining of color. "Step away from her. Now." Her badge glinted as her hand hovered near her holster. Mr. Reyes stormed forward. "Unbelievable," he hissed. "Absolutely unbelievable." Tyler stammered. "We were just—" "Save it," Reyes snapped. Every word, every shove, every laugh was caught on that security camera. He pointed at the black dome above the lockers. "And on your own phones." Panic set in as realization hit. Sheriff Brooks stepped between them and Mrs. Ellison, who stood straight despite the pain in her back. "Are you all right, ma'am?" she asked gently. Mrs. Ellison adjusted her glasses, nodding. "A bit shaken, but fine. Thank you." She turned, eyes stern yet calm, to the boys. "I taught every single one of you about compassion, about decency. And this is what you chose." Her disappointment cut deeper than anger ever could. "You're all under arrest," Brooks said flatly. "Assault of an elderly person, harassment, reckless endangerment. Wait, arrest." Jake's voice cracked. No, we were joking." "Tell it to the judge," the sheriff replied as she cuffed them one by one. News spread like wildfire. By sunset, the video Mason had recorded, not realizing it would become evidence against them, was already circulating online. Local news stations picked it up. Elderly teacher attacked by students. Entire incident caught on camera. The community was horrified. Parents called the school, furious and ashamed. Alumni, former students who adored Mrs. Ellison, flooded social media with messages of support. Some shared stories of how Mrs. Ellison had helped them through tough times, tutored them for free, written recommendation letters, or simply believed in them when no one else did. The school board held an emergency session. All 3 boys were expelled immediately. Colleges rescinded their admission offers within 48 hours. Jake lost his sports scholarship. Mason's father, a local businessman, was forced to issue a public apology after customers boycotted his store. Tyler's family faced eviction from their rental property after the landlord, a former student of Mrs. Ellison, decided not to renew their lease, citing community standards. But the consequences didn't stop there. Criminal charges were filed. The assault on an elderly person carried felony-level consequences in the state. The boys were tried in juvenile court, but faced months of community service, mandatory counseling, and probation that would follow them well into adulthood. The judge, a former pupil of Mrs. Ellison's, didn't hold back during sentencing. You attacked a woman who dedicated her life to educating and uplifting this community. Your actions are disgraceful, but I won't just punish you. I will make sure you learn from this. He sentenced them to 800 hours each of community service, specifically serving at elder care facilities, disability centers, and homeless shelters. They were forced to face the very vulnerability they mocked. Meanwhile, Mrs. Ellison became a local hero. The town rallied around her. A GoFundMe set up by former students raised over $100,000 to help her retire comfortably. The mayor declared Mrs. Ellison Appreciation Day, honoring her 42 years of service. National media picked up the story. CNN, NBC, and major networks all interviewed her. Through it all, Mrs. Ellison remained graceful. "I don't want them destroyed," she said during one televised interview. "I want them to understand the weight of what they did and change." Months later, eyewitnesses reported seeing Jake helping an elderly woman fix her garden, Tyler volunteering at the local food bank, and Mason reading books aloud to nursing home residents. Were they doing it out of guilt? Obligation? Maybe. But for the first time, they were learning a lesson no textbook could ever teach. And for Willow Creek High, the attack that was meant to humiliate an elderly teacher instead became the mistake that changed everything, proving that sometimes karma isn't just poetic. It's immediate, and it delivers.